hear a story about 107.1, how this station came into being. I have to take you back a few years, really back to 1987 when we were first looking at Des Moines and wanting to acquire a station that was down here. There was one available at the time, but Northwestern didn't feel it could make the step forward or sort of take the leap, if you will, to make the purchase at that time. So we stepped away, but the thought never left our mind. We always kind of had Des Moines on our minds as to wanting to see Northwestern come to Des Moines and establish a radio ministry here. Well, in the year 2003, we received an inquiry or phone call, if you will, from a banker who presented the question to us, would you like to have some stations in the Des Moines area? And we said, well, yes, tell us more. So we, to make somewhat of a long story short, we were given the particulars of these two stations that were available, and they had gone into bankruptcy. And all we had to do was bid on them, and if we made it through the bidding process, we could acquire these radio licenses. So we submitted a bid. But we later found out, after about a month's time or so, that of the 4 or 5 bids that were submitted, ours was not one of them. It was not the one that was selected. There was somebody who bid higher than us. Yes, we were disappointed at the time because we thought, oh, this was a perfect opportunity, and we were hoping that we would get these stations. Well, a person at the time said, I know your disappointment, but, if God wants you to have these stations, you'll eventually have these stations. And I suppose in ourselves we said, yeah, sure, that's great. Thank you. Appreciate that. And life would go on. Well, again, the thoughts still kind of hung in the back of our minds of hope. And we started praying about, Lord, if we can have these stations, we'd love to have them. Well, time did go on, and I guess it came to the point where these stations that this person purchasing them was to sign the papers. And for whatever reason, the deal fell through at that point in time. And subsequently, our phone rang again, and it was the bank that was handling this particular deal, handling the bankruptcy, and they said, the deal has fallen through with the other buyer. Would you be interested in re-entertaining the thought of acquiring these stations? We said, well, yeah, certainly. So what are we to do? Well, submit another bid to us as to what terms you'd be willing to accept, and we'll review those and see where this goes. So we put together another proposal. It was submitted. You know the rest of the story. It was accepted, and we took over the stations in the fall of 2003 under what's called a local management agreement, and we started programming the stations, and we completed the full acquisition toward the end of that year, and then the stations became ours, and we've refurbished them and brought them up to what they are today. And so you have 107.1 and 96.1, and how thankful we are to be on the air here in the Des Moines area with Christian radio.